Welcome in, gang. Today I'm making Nonna's lasagna, a satisfying version of lasagna featuring layers of pasta sandwiched between a hearty meat sauce and a velvety bechamel sauce. If this isn't comfort food, I don't know what is. This is kitchen serious. The great part of this recipe is that each component can be made ahead of time and assembled around 90 minutes before you plan to serve it. First up is the meat sauce. I'm using 1 pound of ground chuck, but you could also make this with a 50-50 blend of Italian sausage and ground beef. Now I season with some salt, crushed red pepper flake, onion powder, garlic powder, and a little black pepper. After it's fully browned, I'll drain off most of the fat and then mix in my tomato paste to gently cook out. The foundation for the red sauce is 1 diced medium onion and around 8 cloves of crushed garlic. The onion will get a saute before adding in the garlic to cook another minute or so. Next, I'll add my tomatoes and all the reserved sauce in the can. I like to use whole tomatoes and then just crush them by hand. Oddly satisfying. To this, I'll add around a tablespoon of basil, oregano, salt, pepper, and around a 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar. Once everything is incorporated, I like to hit it with my hand blender to smooth it out a bit. This is just a personal preference of mine. Now you can incorporate that meat and tomato paste mixture. If you're making all this at once, you can hold this on the back burner while you're making the bechamel sauce. For this, I'm going to cut up half a white onion into fairly large chunks. The size doesn't really matter since this will all get strained out later. Since we'll be making a roux, the amount of fat used to saute the onion also depends on how much sauce we want. This recipe uses about 4 cups, so I'm going to use 6 tablespoons of butter. After the onion gets nice and translucent, you can then add the 6 tablespoons of flour. Although to be honest, when I make a roux, I like to add probably just a little bit more flour than butter. Here I started with 6 tablespoons of flour, but then added around an additional tablespoon. A loose rule for roux is the butter-flour mixture should resemble wet sand. Make sure and let this cook for a couple minutes, but keep it light. The technical term for this would be a blonde roux. Now, I'm adding 4 total cups of milk to this in 2 stages. Some swear that you should always add the entire amount all at once, and others swear that you should do it cup by cup. Both claim their method ensures a smooth sauce. Now, my take is that either one will get you where you want to go, and really it's all a moot point with this method because we'll be passing this through a sieve anyway. After the milk is in, I'm adding a bay leaf as well as a few peppercorns. Be patient, let the roux do its thing. This will eventually thicken. I also love to add a little bit of nutmeg to any white pasta sauce, so this sauce will be no exception. This is it around 15 minutes on a medium-high heat. You can see it's thickened up nicely and passes the spoon test. Keep in mind this will continue to thicken off heat. Now it's time to pass this through the sieve. We'll just leave behind all the bits of onion, the bay leaf, and the peppercorns. What's left is this beautiful classic bechamel sauce. This will form a skin on the top when it cools, so I definitely recommend putting some plastic wrap over the top to counter this. The last and, well, the easiest part is cooking the lasagna noodles. I'm using just 1 pack of standard lasagna noodles for this. They fit really nicely in a 9x13 casserole dish. The box says cook 12 to 14 minutes, but I always undercook these by at least a couple minutes because they'll continue to cook in the oven. Nothing is worse than mushy, overcooked noodles. Now comes the fun part, the assembly. I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees, and I'm going to start with just a small amount of bechamel before my first layer of noodles. We'll follow it up with some meat sauce and about 1/3 of the bechamel sauce. Now our second layer of noodles. Followed by some meat sauce and a little Parmesan and half our bechamel sauce. Now I'm going to break it up a little bit by adding some provolone on top of the 3rd layer of noodles. It's then back to the meat sauce and the rest of the bechamel. I hit it with some more Parmesan and the last few pieces of provolone to give it a cheesy crust. We're going to cover this and it goes in for 30 minutes. Now we're going to remove the foil after 30 minutes and go another 15 minutes, or until you reach that level of golden brown you prefer. Some people really like it golden and crusty. After you pull it out, you have to let it rest for at least a half hour, guys. That's the hardest part. To illustrate my point, this is what it looks like if you just wait, 15 minutes. The first piece is always a killer. But as any lasagna lover will tell you, it's always better the next day. This is lasagna that would make Nonna truly proud to call her own. Well, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for hanging out in Kitchen Serious. I will see you in the next one.